Hi folks, welcome to Moon Hoax. NASA's rover never went to the moon, Volume 3, Tracking the Tracks. Now, in Volume 2, I dealt with the anomalies of the right rear fenders missing and damaged for Apollo 16 and 17. Let me apologize here for one thing I said during Volume 2. I stated that there were no anomalies in the fenders for Apollo 15. Well, that was mainly because I was looking at the right rear fenders. But I can tell you there are anomalies with Apollo 15 whereby a front left fender section is missing. So what we've got is actually 3 missions, 3 rovers, and the 3 of them are subject to anomalies with fenders. Does make it sound a little bit more suspicious, doesn't it? Suspicious of more fakery or storytelling. Now, as you may have seen in the past, there have been occasions where others have questioned these rovers whereby a track is missing from behind the rover, stating that it could not have been on the moon, it couldn't have been driven there if there's no tracks. Yes, I've mentioned plenty of them myself before. So what I've decided to do here now is a full video based on just tracking the tracks. What we're going to be looking at is not just rovers with no tracks behind. We're going to be looking at rovers with tracks behind, but the tracks are fake. And we're going to be looking at tracks where there is no rover, tracks that are genuine and tracks that are fake, all proving that these are nothing but fake photos made here on Earth in the Photolab staff, with the Photolab staff deliberately inserting these fake tracks and these clues. Now, before we examine any of these photos, I want you to take a close look at this wheel. This is what they claim they fitted to the rover. Now look at these aluminium grip bars going along. They are riveted to the wire mesh. But follow around the center line of this so-called mesh tire. Notice how the bars form a zigzag, zigzag, zigzag all the way around the center of the tire. There is no straight line around the center of the tire, okay? No straight line, nothing that can create a straight line. That is one thing, keep that in mind. Okay, now I want you to take a look at this photo here. This is a section cropped from AS 15-86-11602. Now, what this seems to be showing here is the tracks as they should be from that rover wheel. Notice right down through the center of them there is not a straight line. They are the perfect shape for that wheel. All the indentations are 45 degrees to the line of travel. Now, the question is, what made these tracks? Was it the rover? Or was it something else? Well, what they've done here, the whistleblowers have done something special with these tracks to tell you that it was not done by any rover. Can any of you spot it? Can you spot the clue? Well, if you haven't spotted it, I'll now tell you. Just imagine you're going from right to left with these tracks. You'll find they come to a stop. Both of them come to a stop just under the AS of the photo number. Now, somebody mentally insane like Bertie Slack will say it just went forward and it reversed back. Well, the whistleblowers are giving you a clue to tell you that that was not the case. Because the section under AS, if it was a case of the rover going forward and then reversing back, there would be a scuffle area and a turning pattern by there where it goes from one track onto the next. Well, you can't see any scuffling or any turning effect there. So what the whistleblowers are telling you here is A, we done the top track just rolling a wheel along and made the indentations, then we picked up the wheel and put it back down by the side of the start of the top one and made the bottom one and rolled the wheel left to right. That's what they're telling you here. That's just been done with one wheel, two motions. Not done with a rover, folks. Impossible to have been done with a rover. Now, as I mentioned, in volume 2, we're going to be looking at photos in numerical order. Numerical order that shows all these anomalies, folks. But, surprising enough, even in volume 2, I've had a response to that with NASA nutcases saying, they didn't use a numerical order, they picked them up at random, they didn't use the magazines in numerical order, the photos... Oh, Christ almighty. They get up their nose, don't they, these bloody idiots working for NASA. What do they call him? A liar for hire? So what I'm going to be doing here, the same as with volume 2, is dealing with the photos numerical order. Now, we're going to be starting off with magazine 82. Now, take a look at this photo. AS15-82-11056. No rover in sight, but plenty of tracks. But what can we see in these tracks, folks? Well, the first thing to notice with this photo, as I display here, it's been photoshopped. It was made after 1989, folks. Now, what I've done here, I've cropped the bottom left corner for this photo 11056. And as you can see, from the tracks there, they are impossible to have been created by the rover because the indentations are 90 degrees to the line of travel. Impossible by the rover, folks, and here it is more clear. There you are, you can see that track here. The one side of it, the left side, the imprints are all 90 degrees to the line of travel, but the right hand side are, as they should be, 45 degrees of travel. And with this one, remember what I just showed you, you cannot have a straight line through the center of the track. It should be a zigzag pattern. So there's another clue, the center line. It's impossible to have been created by that wheel. Okay, the next one we're going to look at here is AS15-82-11062. And as you can see, it's been photoshopped. Made after 89, folks. And there you can see, there is no tracks behind this front wheel. Now, according to the idiot Bertie Slack, the reason for no tracks is because the astronauts have simply kept walking over the ground and disturbed the tracks or wiped them out together with their boot prints. Well, all I can see here is 3 boot prints, and none of them are directly behind the wheel. You can also see from this wheel, the grip bars on it are simply airbrushed in white using Photoshop. Okay, here's the next one, AS15-82-11090. Now, what I can tell you about this one, as you can see, it's been photoshopped. Another one that's been photoshopped, folks, and coming up is a close-cropped photo of this rover. And there you are. As you can see, there is no tracks whatsoever behind this rover. It's one I've shown before to be fake. There's no aerial on the astronaut either. But no tracks whatsoever, folks. Okay, take a look at this one here, folks. I want you to have a good look at this one. I displayed this photo in an earlier video, the absolute truth about shadows. But while this one is not going to be showing anything to do with the rover tracks, the one directly after it, 11168. First thing to notice, it's been photoshopped, okay? That's the first thing. The next thing to notice, I've shown you where he's got a very peculiar shadow. It's an L shape. It's going to his right and then forward. And as you can see, there is no shadow from this astronaut's left leg. There you are. I've enlarged it there. I've cropped and enlarged. His shadow is going to his right and then forward. As you can see again, no shadow from his left leg. And let's take a look to see what else we can find with it, shall we? Well, before I show you, in the next photo, pay particular attention to the length of this astronaut's shadow, folks. and look at it coming up. There you are. All he's done is taken one step forward, and look how short it is now. Here's the one that shows the rover, and I shall be displaying the tracks behind the rover are completely fake. But what I want you to do is take a close look at the two of these astronauts cropped and joined together. There you are, folks. What do you think of that? I've cropped the two of these astronauts only one frame apart. And look at the length of the shadow on him on the left, and then the next photo, look how short it is. And the photo on the right, which is the next frame on the magazine, you can now see a shadow between his legs, between his boots. And if you look at the shadow from that left boot, it's going the wrong direction compared to the long shadow on the left astronaut. It should be exactly the same direction. And there you are, folks. A cropped and enlarged section, the back of this rover, AS15-82-11168. And as you can see, there is tracks at the back of this rover, but they are both fake. Indentations 90 degrees to the line of travel, folks. Okay, folks, we're now with this photo, AS15-82-11169. Now, for those who have watched the first video, Volume 1, NASA's rover never went to the moon, you will see that this is the photo that sparked the investigation I made into these rovers. Now, the first thing to notice, as you can see here, this photo has been photoshopped. Now, what I'm going to show you here is the tracks behind this rover are fake. Here you are, as usual. I've cropped the back end of that rover, and what you can see is tracks from the backs of the wheels. The only thing is, they are fake. They are made by hand. They are once again showing the indentations 90 degrees to the line of travel, folks. Now just look at the pattern on the wheels, and then look at the pattern on the ground. They are completely fake. Now, what I've done here, I've cropped off the front wheels of the three previous photos we've just been looking at. Just remember, all supposed to be the same rover, the same position. All that's happened is, in the first two, the astronaut have taken one step forward, and in the last one, there is no astronaut by the wheel. It's supposed to be the same rover in the same place. But, look at the middle one. It's got the lines straight on it, as I showed in Volume 1, and it's got the little face at the bottom of them lines. Two white dots and a white mouth, and the one on the right is exactly the same. The center one and the right are exactly the same, but look at the one on the left. Now it's supposed to be the same rover, the same wheel, but as you can see, the lines on that are not quite as tidy. It's a botched job on that. That's proving that that one was done at a different time than the other two. The other two were copied and pasted, and this one was a new one paintbrushed in, airbrushed in, as you can see. The lines on the wheel are different, folks. Okay, we now come to this one, AS15-85-11413. Now, so far, this seems to be the only photo with a genuine pattern track behind the wheel. But, sorry to disappoint you, as you can see, it's another photo that's been photoshopped. And if you study this track and the wheel, I'm not going to argue about it, but I would say the track is not in line with the wheel. It's inside the wheel, not directly in line. That's a matter of opinion, so that's up to you. Okay, we're now with this photo, AS15-85-11422. Now, this one shows a track behind the right rear wheel, doesn't it? But if you look carefully at the left wheel, there's no track behind the left rear wheel. But as far as this track is concerned behind the right rear wheel, let's take a closer look at it, shall we? There you are, taking a look at a cropped and enlarged area of this rear track. What you can see is right under the wheel, the track is completely fake. It is straight lines right across the width of the track. It's fake there. A bit further down, it's got the genuine V-shape pattern. But down below, there is no track at all. Nothing at all, folks. Look at this photo here. AS15-85-11435. Now, no rover in sight here at all, but what we have got is deliberate whistleblowing at the bottom of the photo. If you look at the bottom left corner, you will see what appears to be genuine 45-degree tracks. But as it goes on to the right hand side, it changes from 45-degree indentations to 90 degrees with a center line down it. They are simply telling you these tracks were not made by a rover, unless they change the wheel halfway along the page of the photo, I suppose. That's what some nutter will come up with. They had a puncture and they changed the wheel. And here we are, folks, just 2 shots after the previous photo I showed you. AS15-85-11437. And as you can see here, down in the bottom left hand corner, there's the fake track I showed you in the previous photo. And as you can see behind the rover, there is no tracks whatsoever. Okay, here's the next one. AS15-85-11438. Same rover, just the camera different position. And as you can see, behind these wheels, there is no tracks whatsoever, folks. And here's a cropped version coming up. There you are, there's a cropped section of that rover. And as you can see, there is no tracks. Now, according to the numbskull, the mentally insane psychopath Bertie Slack, the only reason if there's no track showing is the astronauts have been stamping over the ground and obliterated the tracks. Well, can any of you see loads of boot prints here that have obliterated any tracks? Okay, the next one on the list for Apollo 15, AS15-85-11471. And as you can see, this photo has been photoshopped. But what about the tracks? Well, as I keep showing you, here's a cropped and enlarged version coming up. There you are, folks. Something here that the mentally insane psychopath Bertie Slack will not show you in any of his videos. A cropped and enlarged section to show you that there are no tracks whatsoever behind this wheel. Now, according to that psychopath, there's only 2 reasons for no tracks. And that is, they either picked the rover up and carried it to this spot, or they kept walking behind the wheels and their boot prints obliterated any sign of the tracks. Well, can any of you see any sign of any boot prints behind this wheel? And what I've done for your convenience, I've added a section of how the tracks should really look like. Okay, we're now on magazine 86. Here's the first one in magazine 86, AS15-86-11603. And as you can see, this photo has been photoshopped. It's made up on a computer, folks, using Photoshop. And as usual, here's a cropped section right behind the rover wheels. There you are. Can any of you see any tracks? And can any of you see an enormous amount of boot prints that have obliterated any tracks, as the numbskull Bertie Slack keeps insisting? Okay, what we've got here, a very, very special photo of the rover. One from a discussion between myself and the mentally insane psychopath Bertie Slack 3 or 4 years ago, folks. I told that idiot there is no tracks anywhere around this rover, so how did it get there? And you know what he said? He said they stopped the rover at a certain point and then realized, oh, we want to take a sample from under the rover. We've stopped over the spot we wanted to take a sample. So they picked it up and they carried it and moved it to another position. And here's the proof of that reply. At the time, this idiot stated that he was going to do a video showing you exactly where the tracks are. And as you read, he stated that I do not look to the right of the photo. Well, I shall be doing that right here and now to show you what an idiot the man is. Taking a look further to the right and show you what really is there. There you are, folks. There's the next clip to the right. Just remember, that Bertie Slack just said I don't go to the right or to the left or to look at any descriptions. Well, there's the next photo to the right. And here's the next thing that he's not aware of. This photo has been Adobe photoshopped, made after 1989, folks. Okay, here's a cropped section directly behind that wheel and zoomed up for you. Now, can any of you see any tracks whatsoever behind this wheel? I certainly can't, but the numbskull Bertie Slack states he can. In the meantime, let's take a look at another post by this idiot Bertie Slack concerning an Apollo 16 rover with exactly the same situation. Now, did you notice in his statement there, where he said, expat Taffy never reads the descriptions for the photos? Well, he's quite wrong there, because I love reading the descriptions for the photos. The descriptions, which, if they never went, if it was all fake and the photos are fake, then the descriptions are fake. So it gives me greater opportunity to prove that the photos are fake and greater opportunities to prove that Bertie Slack is a mentally insane psychopath. Okay, what I've done here now is gone to the right of that rover. And what you can see way back from the rover are two sets of tracks. We've got a set of track A and B, and we've got a track from B to C. And here's these two tracks shown pretty clear here, folks. Now, what these two sets of tracks are doing is giving you a whistleblower's clue. Just ask yourself, how could a rover drive around, say, on track A and B, and then be picked up and moved to the other position? What created the other tracks? C to D and E to F. Now what you'll notice from these, the tracks A, B at the top have got no patterns whatsoever in them. And here is a closer look at them. There you are. No patterns whatsoever, folks. Just plain dragged lines made on a computer using Photoshop. Now here's a very big close-up of the other two tracks, C and E. The top one, as you can see, the indentations are 90 degrees to the line of travel. There is no V section, so it is fake. But the bottom one does appear to be the correct pattern. Although when you examine it closely, you can see it's not made by the wheel, because it's not even spaced sections, indentations. You can see they've been made up on a computer, no problem at all. Now, coming back to this photo showing the two tracks, I wonder if NASA can explain if they drove the rover to this point and picked it up and carried it to the spot where there's no tracks. How come we've got two tracks? Which track did it come on? Or did two rovers come here, or what? Now folks, the next thing to notice with this photo before we leave it, according to Bertie Slack, they stopped the rover here, picked it up and carried it. Now, can any of you see multiple boot prints in this photo? I wonder if that idiot can explain how they picked it up and carried it to another spot and failed to leave any boot prints behind. Okay, we're now with this photo here, AS15-90-12215. I displayed this in my volume 1 regarding the tires made of rubber. And here again, we're now showing you that this rover has got tracks behind it, but they are fake. Here's a closer look at them here. You can see quite easy the ones the wheel nearest us. But what I'll do, I'll give you a closer look up at the both sides in the photos coming up. There you are. You can see the tracks, the near side wheel to us are completely fake. No V shape whatsoever, just straight lines airbrushed in across. And here's a photo showing the fake ones the other side. There you are, straight across. No V shape at all, folks. Okay, the next one in the Apollo 15 is this one, AS15-90-12217. First point to notice is it's been Adobe Photoshopped. Made after 1989, folks. Now, I won't waste any time on the close-ups with this one because they're exactly the same as the previous photo. Okay, in the previous photo, 12217, we were able to view the rear of the rover. Now, what we got here, the next photo, 12218, where we can see the front of the rover. We can see behind the front wheel. And here's a cropped enlarged section of that front wheel. And there you are, as you can see, there is no tracks whatsoever behind the front wheel, and there is none of Bertie Slack's astronaut's boots obliterating any track, folks. Okay, we now come to this photo, AS15-92-12433. Now, here's one, looking at the right rear wheel near us. You can see there is no track there because there are loads of boot prints. Now, according to that numbskull Bertie Slack, the only reason you can't see any tracks behind any of the rovers is, 1, they picked it up and carried it to another spot, or 2, the astronauts walking around completely obliterated the track. Okay, Bertie, looking at this one here, we can see there is no track at all behind the rear right wheel because, as you say, it's been obliterated by the astronauts walking over them. Well, we'll give you the benefit of that, Bertie, as long as you have got the brains and the balls to come up with the answer for the other track. You can see a track from the left rear wheel. But what about this coming up, Bertie? There you are, folks. Look at that. You can clearly see a track behind the rear left wheel. But if you examine it carefully, we've got 3 different patterns. We've got the top arrow showing that they are fake because they are 90 degrees. And in the dip, by where I've got the bottom arrow, it is showing there is a V section, so they are correct by there. Now, how did they change, I wonder? And then go to the right arrow, they are completely fake, all 90 degrees. Now, come on, Bertie, we'll accept your explanation of boot prints obliterating the track, as long as you can give us an explanation how we've got 3 sets of prints on the top. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, we're not just going to be looking at tracks behind the rovers, we're going to be looking at tracks where there's no rovers and find out whether these tracks are genuine or not. Here's a photo, AS15-90-12193. I'm trying to keep them in numerical order here as I stated in the beginning of the video. And you look by here, all these rover tracks are completely fake, folks. Now, here's the next one, AS15-90-12194. And as you can see, it's been photoshopped. And just look at the number of tracks here, folks. Was this astronaut taking part in a rally or some damn thing? Tracks everywhere. But, important thing to notice, every one of them are fake. Indentations 90 degrees to the line of travel, folks. And here we are with the next one, AS15-90-12195. Tracks everywhere. As I said, were they taking part in a rally or what? But what you can see in this, the bottom track, the very left of the photo, you can see there is a part there of a genuine track, but then as you go along to the right, they're all fake. We've got a mixture of correct pattern and incorrect pattern. Now you can't get that from any rover, folks. That is deliberate insertion by the whistleblowers. And here's the next one in line, AS15-90-12196. And as you can see, this has been photoshopped. And again, as you can see, fake tracks, all indentations 90 degrees to the line of travel. Okay folks, that just about wraps up the investigation into the tracks for the Apollo 15 rovers. Now what we've done, we've covered 21 photos of rovers, and so far there is only one rover that shows the correct track behind one wheel. All the rest are fake, missing, or a combination of fake and correct shape.